What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the LA Soccer Hub Show. My name is Gio Garcia, and today we're talking LA soccer. We're talking about what happened this past week, week four. A lot of things went happen. It's exciting. It's also an international break. You got U.S. versus Mexico the upcoming this Thursday. We'll dive deep into that. But let me introduce my guests. We got from Total Galaxy. We got Alex Reese. Alex, how you doing?
Doing good, as you can see, rocking the Barca jersey. So they did pretty good
Yeah.
yesterday. So it was fun to watch that for sure.
Yeah, Classico. That was honestly that was surprising that they won 4-0. That was quite the beatdown. I did not expect that. Obviously, Benzema didn't play, and you see that they showed that image that kind of went viral. But they're playing Xavi ball. What are your thoughts on the way Xavi has the team going?
I love it. I love his system right now. And just the new players they got in the winner. Ferran Torres, even though he missed like a couple of chances at the first time with Barca, Aubameyang's doing really good. That was surprising to me. I'm surprised he's doing so good this early. And just overall, the young midfielders of like Pedri, Gavi, they're all doing really good. Busquets, even though he's old, still doing his thing there as well. So, but I think the biggest thing from Xavi Ball is that Ousmane Dembele looks like one of the best players in the world right now. He looked really good and tortured Nacho for that first goal on that cross. So I hope
Yeah,
he stays at Barca, but the drama when it comes to those kind of contract situations.
yeah. I see. Yes, his Barco went ham. He said, "What's up, guys?" He said, "I haven't been here in a while. What's good, guys? What's up, Isaiah? Hope you're doing well, brother." Yeah, that was amazing to see. I didn't watch the game. I just caught the highlights, but I was surprised. 4-0. That is pretty impressive. It just kind of just seems like it wasn't that long ago when Barcelona was not that good. Barely. It seems like you don't even forget. You kind of forget about that now with the way they're playing. They don't have Messi, but they're still doing amazing things. But yeah, anything else you do this weekend outside of watching Barcelona play?
Not much really, not much. Just kind of taking a chill weekend, did some homework and stuff. Finally got my math got brain going, so I'm doing pretty good now.
Nice, nice, that's good. So he said, "Anna, what's up, Anna? Hope you're doing well." Yeah, I got to rock the Mexico shirt. They're playing this week.
I'm gonna get
So
a Mexico Julian Araujo shirt soon, so got
oh
that
yeah,
ready. I
that
got that
that's
ready.
that's gonna be dope. Hopefully, he gets an opportunity to play because it's a big game this week.
Hopefully, he's still the number 6 because that's the
Is
number I
that the
put on the
jer-
back.
is that the
That's what he
jersey he
was
was?
last time.
Okay, I don't remember.
He was last time in the World Cup qualifying. I hope he's number 6 again.
Yeah, I don't remember. Did you already order it? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Earlier, I was like, it's in the cart, just waiting to be ordered. But I'm just waiting, making sure all the numbers are released, and then I'll be like, okay, cool, I can
Yeah.
press order.
Yeah, he said Andy. He says, "Hey, Alex, bringing the pressure with the Barcelona jersey. Let me go get my swag shirt right." Oh, hey, Andy, you got to wear the Real Madrid jersey, man. I
The
don't know if you're
black
gonna be
one,
wearing.
the black Real Madrid jersey.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There we go, Andres. He says USA, USA. Hey, bring it on, Andres. Hey, it's gonna be a big game. I'm excited. I'm gonna go down there, so I'm
It's gonna be
excited for
fun.
this. But yeah, well, on the other side of things, we got to talk about the LA Galaxy. It was not a good game. Let's put it that way. I think we can just leave it at that. It was a terrible game. It was a boring game. I don't know. Is that too harsh? I don't know. I don't think that's too harsh.
Yeah, just a game where they just really couldn't get going. No, aside from like the first half where they did create like some half chances, the second half was kind of hard, especially with Orlando basically parking the bus like midway through the second half. It was really hard for the Galaxy to really get anything dangerous going. I think the one chance they really had was when Efra kind of got down the byline and shot it right at Gallese. He hurt himself there, and then just the long shots from Depew, from Kleshin. That's all they could really come up with. It was really a frustrating performance. And it was really I guess bad day at the office. Douglas Costa going down with injury. Um, Julian Araujo still in that slump right now where he just can't get it going. Cabral as well just hasn't gotten it at all this year so far. And then Chicharito just not getting the touches inside the box that he needs. So overall, kind of a bad day at the office for the Galaxy.
Yeah, and before we get more into it, this was a game that they could have bounced back. I think everyone was expecting to bounce back after a tough game against the Sounders. This was a game that at home expected to bounce back, but it just wasn't the way. It didn't play out the way. It didn't go the way the Galaxy had planned. They did have some opportunities. it was just, I don't know, just watching that game, it was just so tough to watch because there were opportunities, but at the same time, they didn't capitalize on those opportunities. And you're at home, you expect to get a positive result, also going into the international break, which is unfortunate, you know. And I think you kind of reading the body language, you kind of saw a lot of the frustration on Chicharito, just on certain things. You know, obviously it doesn't help when Douglas Costa goes off at halftime. I mean, that's very unfortunate. You know, we hope it's nothing serious and he's able to come back. The good thing is it's an international break, so whatever, you know, whatever he's nursing, everything like that is he's gonna have more than enough time to
It's kind
hopefully
of like
come
the
back.
right time to get injured per se.
I don't think there's ever a right time, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but I mean, right
yeah,
now having a week off, it's you don't want to say it, but it's kind of the like right time to kind
yeah.
of
If you have
recover from an injury.
a little knock, a little knock, but yeah, you know. But yeah, no. It was, I was surprising to see Douglas Costa only play 45 minutes, obviously. But I still felt like this team has a lot of talent to, even though being down 1-0, to make things happen. Um, I was surprised that I've been surprised this whole time that, you know, Joveljic hasn't gotten more playing time, because it seems like outside of Chicharito, he's the only other player that's able to create for himself goals wise, and I think that's what was kind of struggling. That's what they struggle with this game. You know, and a game gets tight like this, if Chicharito doesn't get those opportunities, then who else? You know, Douglas Costa's out. You know, Grant Sir came in the 67th minute, but you know, I just feel like Jovic should get more playing time, especially, you know, when they're playing the way they're playing right now.
Yeah, I personally right now after watching these four games, I think the Galaxy should switch to a 4-2-2. I mean, excuse me, 4-4-2. Really, I think it gets the best out of Joveljic to have him, be the front man up front. Chicharito throughout this four games has, come back deep a little bit, try to move that back line. So I think he's going to be okay if, Vanny asks him, hey, I need you to come deep, kind of be a facilitator a little bit, let Joveljic be the guy up top. And, Costa has done really good when it comes to the playmaking aspect of it. Douglas Costa. But again, you kind of have to see how he's doing after the injury. And then you're kind of hoping that with Cabral, you're kind of given more space for him to kind of exploit, even though he has enough space and he has the touches in the final third to really do something, but just hasn't been able to do it at all. I mean, I'm writing a column right now for like my notebook series, and like I was looking through the stats and stuff. And this is crazy. Kevin Cabral is in the top 5 of touches inside the opponent's penalty area, and out of those top 5, he's the only one without a goal contribution, without a goal or an assist. He has 29 touches inside the opponent's box and hasn't produced anything at all. The other
Yeah,
players
that's the
the other
star
players
right
on
there.
that list are Derek Etienne from Columbus Crew has 4 goal contributions. Patrick Limala from the New York Red Bulls has 4 goal contributions. Tyus Magna from New York City FC, he has 2. And the other player that has in that top 5 of most touches in the opponent's box is another player who I guess a lot of LA fans or followers of the LA Soccer Hub should know. A player who's kind of has struggled the last couple of years is Brian Rodriguez. So it's an interesting list to be part of, but being part of that list with no goal contributions at all is very worrying because he's given these opportunities. It's not easy to get into the opponent's box 29 times, get 29 touches in there, but if you can't produce anything at all, that's really concerning.
Yeah, look, this was another. Let's put it. There's no other way to put it. It was another poor performance from Kevin Cabral, and it's unfortunate because he had the opportunities. Right, you know, he had a couple opportunities inside the box where he, you know, could stretch out his foot. Maybe he was a little bit taller. Maybe he could have, you know, I know he had an opportunity, a couple opportunities in the first half. But I think the most frustrating thing about Kevin Cabral that I've seen is his passing. It's, he doesn't know where to place the ball when Chicharito or someone's making those runs, or it was a lot of the lackadaisical plays that, you know, he'd be on the sideline and trying to get past the defenders, or he lose the ball, and all these different things. And I think that's what is so frustrating about Kevin Cabral is that, like, he's a DP player, so there's gonna be a lot of expectations. But when you get the ball stolen, and when you got on their half, right, or you can't even cross the ball in or know where the run is going, I think that's the most frustrating thing. And I think this is one game that we actually saw. I don't know if you saw this, but Chicharito was so frustrated. He looked back at the bench. I don't know if I think it might have been the second half. Right, it was right before Cabral got subbed. And he was just frustrated. The way I read it was that he was frustrated at Cabral which is passing or whatever his performance. And you see he got subbed at the 62nd minute. You don't get subbed out in the 67th minute unless it's an injury or you're not playing well or whatever. And obviously the case he just wasn't playing well. But I just think Kevin Cabral needs to do a lot more with the opportunities, because those opportunities they come very far and few between, and also takes a lot of pressure off Chicharito. But if Kevin Cabral can't take advantage of those opportunities, it puts on so much pressure on Chicharito, so much pressure on all the other players. And on top of that, you got Jovic, you got Grand Sir, you got Efrain Alvarez if he doesn't start. There's other weapons in the lineup, and I understand that maybe part of the dilemma that Greg Vanny's dealing with. Hey, we're paying this guy so much. He's the guy I brought here to be my DP. But I look four games in. I still think it's okay to ride Kevin Cabral, but if he continues to have these types of performances, that rope is going to get very, very, very thin, because eventually you need to turn these 1-0 losses to wins, because everybody knows what happened last year, and it's get to a point that does not even matter if he's a DP. You just got to put the best player out there. And that's why I'm saying, like, Grant Sir, Jovic, we've seen those guys impact the game. And you just brought up an amazing stat. And it's probably an amazing stat that not that many players want to be a part of necessarily. I know Cabral doesn't want to be a part of that. But I just, look, if you're Kevin Cabral, you just got to do more.
Yeah, for
Whatever it
sure.
is, you just got to do more and be able to score. A lot's going to be expected of you. And when Kevin Cabral doesn't have a bad game, it just gets that much worse, because he hasn't had those type of performances, right? I'm not saying he needs to come out and score a hat trick or anything like that, but pass the ball, give a good pass, make an effective pass, impact the game in some way. And unfortunately, that's not what we didn't see that. And I don't know. I think Galaxy fans are okay to be frustrated if they are frustrated with Kevin Cabral.
Yeah, I'm just looking here at the notes I took earlier, and Cabral's only had one successful dribble out of 8 attempts. And shot creating actions, he's ranked number 43 in MLS with 11. To put that in perspective, Raheem Edwards, who's the starting left back, plays deeper behind him, has 18. So Edwards is a more creative and more, I guess, dangerous player on that left hand side than Kevin Cabral is, and
Yeah,
that's a
you
pretty
see
big
it.
red flag right there. I
Yep.
mean, his progressive passing is pretty bad too, ranked 357th in MLS with 160 progressive passing yards. Douglas Costa is seventh in MLS in that stat category as well. And the only thing Vanny said in his press conference was Kevin does things on the defensive end of the ball that I guess not many players can do, or something like that. Around those terms, that's what Vanny said. And yeah, I get, yeah, that's a good thing about Cabral, but you're not paying him to play defense. You're paying him to be an attacking threat. And these stats that I've just mentioned prove that he's not DP worthy at all of being that DP attacking threat that can complete this Galaxy team. Because if Douglas Costa is going to be hurt and is going to need time to rehab, there's going to be even more pressure on Cabral to perform and be a more dangerous player. Because Douglas Costa has been pretty successful so far in what he's been able to do with the Galaxy through 3.5 games.
Yeah, no, he's excited. We look. Hopefully, this injury doesn't linger that much. But you're right. If that's what Greg Vanny said, it's like, I understand he's still gonna ride. He's not gonna throw Cabral right now under the bus. I don't think he would. But I think Greg Vanny also understands that he still has to support Cabral in any way he can, and support him. But like, there's literally going to come a point in time in this season, if this continues and the Galaxy don't get the results, that Cabral is going to get benched. It does not matter how much you're paying him. That's going to be on Greg Vanny. If Cabral doesn't work out, everybody knows that's on Greg Vanny. But the flip side to it is, if they bench him, I know we're getting ahead, but it's not looking positive right now for Cabral. But if they bench him and they start to succeed, I think Galaxy fans would rather have a successful team with the DP on the bench, which is not it's not the right recipe. And we may be getting further ahead, but I just feel like if Cabral can't have more of these games, because, like you said, it just puts so much pressure. And I think Greg Randy said they needed another player that scored 10 plus goals or 10 goals this season. And that's Cabral. I don't see Costa being that player. And maybe it could be Costa, and we may be selling him short. But everybody's expecting Cabral. I'm thinking Jovic could be that guy. You know what I'm saying? I know Jovic. He scored in Old Trafford goal. He he's been able to step up. But there is other players on that bench on that team that can make an impact if Cabral's not doing that job.
Yeah, just these stats that I was looking through, man, they're pretty depressing to be honest with you. Like this is a DP player. He's not doing anything. You know, the Galaxy are on national TV for their first 6, 7 games, though. Everybody's seeing Kevin Cabral at his worst right now. And there's gonna be a lot more pressure as the year mounts for sure. I mean, there wasn't more than enough already at the start of the year, especially considering how I guess a good preseason he had, scoring 3 goals. You know, you haven't seen that kind of Cabral, and I don't know what it is, whether him kind of just being shying away from the moment or just, him just losing concentration, focus, decision making. I don't know what it is, but he's getting himself in good spots. Like I mentioned, he has 29 touches in the box, tied for like second in MLS. So he's getting in danger spots. He's just not doing anything. So it comes a point where you decide this player just can't be a finisher. He can't be it. Like with Cabral, the whole focus was, hey, you're going to be a goal scorer. You're going to we're going to transform you into be this dangerous player. And so far, he hasn't looked like that. He looks more like Samuel Grandsir than he does an attacking player. And there's no disrespect to Sam Grandsir. It's just that
But
he
I would say
wasn't marketed.
Grand Sears more effective. I would say
Yeah,
Grand.
but Grant Sears wasn't marketed as a goal scorer compared to Cabral. Grant Sears is a great support player. I personally am a big fan of his play. I think he would fit a lot better just on that left hand side because I think he
Hmm.
he gives Edwards a bit more flexibility. But we can get onto that conversation later. But Grant Sears and Cabral are basically becoming the same player, and that's not what Greg Vanney ever envisioned because Cabral was supposed to be that goal scoring threat. And through 4 games, these trends look like he's gonna have another dud of a year.
Yeah, and look, I hope that's not the case, and I think everybody is hoping that's not the case, and he's able to turn it around. But these early signs just don't look good, and it's good. It's probably good that he has this international break to focus more on things. But it's like, man, I'm serious. When I see his passing, his poor passing, and not understanding Chicharito's run is where the ball, because even the announcers, I don't know if I caught the game. I rewatched the game. Even the announcers are like, I swear that this is what they said. This is along the lines. I don't have the word for word, but it was like Chicharito just made 3 different runs inside the box, and Cabral hasn't done anything with the ball. It was something like, even like, the announcers that don't watch the Galaxy on a consistent basis noticed that right away. You know what I'm saying? And it's like there's only so, and I think that's why I saw the frustration of Chicharito with Cabral, because it's like, why aren't you passing the ball? Why don't you understand where the ball needs to place? And I think, and I don't know. I just think all the criticism he's getting, and us talking about it, I think it's pretty fair. But I also want him to turn it around. I literally want him to turn it around because he's shown flashes that you get excited, but I just don't For me, it's I don't understand why his passing is that bad when it just doesn't have to be. He just has to look up. He has to know where Chicharito, whoever's cutting, is making those runs. So we'll see. Good thing the international break is coming up. We'll see what happens, but that leash is getting very, very short, especially when the team has back to back losses. I don't think you can continue and giving more room for Kevin Cabral to continue to play this way. Let's talk about from one thing. What's one thing? I don't know if there is this one thing, but is there anything you liked out of this game, Alex?
I will say I think Sega Coulibaly had a good game, in my opinion. I think so far he's been the most improved Galaxy player throughout these 4 games. Last year, we really saw him struggle when it came to recovering with defenders, kind of how to use his body because Sega's a big dude. He's tall, he's physical, and that's really what stands out with him as a center back. He's a big physical, commanding presence, and you kind of wanted to see that more this year. And I think there were a couple times during that last game against Orlando where Sega, I thought, looked really good, not only on the ball, but I think his defensive positioning and awareness was really good as well. I think there was a moment where it was just Facundo Torres had like a wide open space, and then Koulibaly just bodied him and, shielded the ball well around and then just got it out there. And that was really impressive, considering that, Koulibaly's kind of known for like these moments where it seems like an error is about to happen. But in this game against Orlando, he looked solid and I liked him. Nick Depew, I don't think had a really good game. He looked really slow for the entire game. And I think Derek Williams and Koulibaly is the pair just waiting to happen. And, we still are yet to see Derek Williams play. Who knows if he'll play in Portland. But I think right now, Sego Koulibaly has really turned it around and has looked like the most improved player on this Galaxy roster so far.
Yeah, no, I mean definitely a good note, and a very positive note. That's what you expect. Hopefully, he's been a hot and cold player. When he's cold, it's cold. When he's hot, he does things like he did this past weekend. Another thing I know it was one play, but also Raheem Edwards on that one-on-one. I think it was 2 versus 1, and he got that slide tackle. I
Yeah, I
think
was looking at that earlier.
that
Yeah,
that
really
slide
good
tackle
play.
was impressive, and I think just seeing how Raheem Evers just 4 games in has been able to adapt to play to understands that he's playing left back, and he's been solid at 4 games. I know there's what 30, 20 more games, 25 more games, or how many more games are left, but first 4 games I have been very surprised and very happy for him because he's putting in that effort and he really shows that what he can do. And obviously last year was last year, where he played. I think this year is this year. What he's doing, and I think if you're a Galaxy fan, I know there's been a lot of questions on the defensive end, but I think having Raheem Edwards there. And having being able to make those tackles and be able to impact the ball on the left hand side, yeah, I'm just more interested in what happens after this break because what it's the Timbers
Yeah, Timbers
and
afterwards,
then
and
El
then it's
Tráfico at home.
LAFC. Yeah, LAFC afterwards.
So it's one tough game after another. You go away to Portland and then you come back. The only player that's leaving, well maybe Savaleta, Julian Araujo, and is there anybody else?
Raheem Edwards is on the extended list. So if anything happens at the Canada roster, Edwards is going to be called up immediately. So that's the if something happens. But so far,
Okay.
the only outgoing players are Araujo and Zabaleta.
Okay. Well, I don't think it's that bad then. You know what I'm saying? If it's just Araujo, it's not bad. You still got most of your group together. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, outside of Araujo, you still have most of your group together to practice and do all these different things. So I think if you're the LA Galaxy, this is a great week to get things going again. Take that break, whatever you need, but to focus on things that you actually need to do because it's you don't want to start this next 2 games. They're going to be more difficult and going on the slump because the Timbers are going to be a very very difficult team. Anytime you play out there in Portland, but yeah, let's talk about U.S. versus Mexico because we don't really need to talk about any more about this game. It happened. We know what happened. How you feeling about U.S. versus Mexico this Thursday World Cup qualifiers? Is a big game for both countries.
Yeah, I was writing my script for a TikTok I'm gonna make about the game, but
Hey,
yeah, it's gonna
TikTok.
be the biggest game probably in the history of the United States of America. I mean, you've beaten Mexico 3 times. Might as well stamp the flag in the Azteca, right? It's if
We'll see. That's
the
gonna
US
be a
can
good
make a big
one.
statement here because look, they're without Weston McKennie, their best player. They're without Brendan Aronson now, who's a literal machine running around. No Serginho Dest. You don't really know how Zach Steffen's really doing because he's really suffered a lot of kind of back injuries with the national team. And then as well, just having the urgency of needing to qualify for the World Cup, making a statement in Mexico, I think this could be a firework game. Like one of the best US Mexico games could be on display on Thursday because Mexico have to defend their house, right? It's embarrassing by Mexico standards if you're beaten by the US 4 times in a year. And if the US gets their first win in the Azteca, then this is the U.S. The U.S. will run CONCACAF from now on if they get that win in the Azteca. I don't see Mexican soccer advancing as much compared to the advancement that U.S. soccer is making almost every single year. And I think if the U.S. just win this game, just have 4 consecutive wins against Mexico, then this next generation, not this one, but the next ones afterwards, it's just going to be the U.S. dominance from now on. That's what I think. I think Mexico, if they lose this game, they aren't coming back. And I think America is going to take over as the kings of the CONCACAF region.
Over Canada, I don't know. I still feel like Canada is still up there, but I see your point. I see your point. We're looking at the standings. Obviously, Canada is number one, with 25 points. U.S. is number two with 21 points. Mexico number three with 21 points. Panama 17. Excuse me, number four with 17 points. Yeah, a lot of things could change because if you're the U.S., you don't want to lose. If you're Mexico, you don't want to lose. It's always tough playing at Azteca. I was there the last 4 years. It was the 1-1 tie. Michael Bradley had that half field shot, and then Carlos Vela ended up tying it. Yeah, look, I'm gonna be there this Thursday, so I'm looking forward to. a lot more fireworks. These games are always the most exciting, even though the U.S. men's national team is without a lot of the players, McKenny, Zach Steffen, Dest. This team is still very talented, but it's also limping its way towards the final stretch because these are the last final. What is it? 3 games they're playing
Yes,
each
final
country.
3 games, and
Final
it's
three
scary
games. Yeah.
because there's still a scenario where the U.S. can't qualify and a scenario where Mexico can't qualify. So
Yep.
it's really an important game. Canada just need 1 point and they're already in
Yeah.
the
No, I
World
don't.
Cup.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's necessarily worried. Canada is literally like you don't want to be the team that doesn't qualify, and everybody remembers what happened the last 4 years with the U.S. So there's a lot of pressure. It's not going to be an easy game when they play this Thursday. I'm looking forward to it, man. This game is one of the best games. If you guys ever get an opportunity, I recommend to go to Azteca with friends and family, and be safe. Because it gets a little rowdy. But what's crazy about this one? They're making everybody get like fan IDs.
Yeah, they
So
are after what
if you
happened
go
in
there, everybody they're gonna
Querétaro.
know who went and who got
Yeah.
there, who got their ticket and all these different things. So obviously we know what happened. And Querétaro and Athletes. We don't need to get into that, but that way I think they identify every single person that comes into the stadium and knows, something were to happen or anything like that.
Yeah, and
For
also
me,
try to get rid of the chant as well. I think so
yeah,
too.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. For me,
that's
I
important.
don't feel like not safe. I don't know. I know some people may feel that way if they haven't been there. But yeah, I'm just looking for a great time, good atmosphere, and hopefully we get Mexico
A
gets the
good game.
win,
Now
and
USA gonna win. America's gonna win. I'm telling
gets
you.
the win, and I'll send you a selfie,
Yeah,
Alex. I'll just be like,
yeah,
hey, selfie, this is a selfie win from right from right
yeah.
down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever talked about this, but the time I feel like it's kind of like PTSD for like a lot of US fans. Like you remember where you were when the US didn't qualify. And I don't think I've talked about this, but I think it's pretty funny. But when the US
Open up
didn't
your
qualify,
feelings. Go ahead and
but
open
when
up
the
your
US
feelings,
didn't
Alex.
qualify for the World Cup last time, I was in a graveyard, and it was really funny at the fact that I was there and the US didn't qualify. So I haven't talked about it, but I think it's pretty funny looking back at it. I was just thinking about it today, so it's pretty funny.
I mean that is very dark and sad, Alex. But yeah, it doesn't get worse than being in a. Why was it a funeral? I'm assuming you don't tell us too
No,
much.
I was filming. I was on set filming like a Halloween movie
Oh,
stuff. Yeah. So yeah, that's
Jesus.
why I was
Okay.
there. Yeah.
I keep seeing this around. Carlos C on YouTube. He says Mexico needs to miss the World Cup in order for the league and the federation to make the changes that are needed. Yeah, look, that's also a possibility. Do I
I
want that to
mean,
happen? No, but do I see the point that I keep people saying that to kind of wake them up? Yeah, I do understand.
yeah, it makes a good point. I mean, it happened with the U.S. I mean, look now, since those 4 years ago, they're exporting more players to Europe. You're seeing the caliber of soccer grow in the country, and I think Mexico, it's such a traditionalist country, right? Very, very conservative country. I mean, it shows by the roster. I mean, they called up like 4 goalkeepers over the age of 34. And just having all these veterans playing out there. I mean, you're finally seeing kind of a changing of the guard in some of the positions for Mexico. I mean, they've basically blacklisted Chicharito, kind of moving away from him, even whether Mexican fans like him or not. But missing the World Cup for a country as big as Mexico is definitely going to wake up the federation. It's going to wake up the next generation of soccer players. I mean, look what it's done for the U.S. It's done wonders for the U.S. It's been a blessing in disguise for the U.S. It's
But
made this
we
country a
still
better
have to see if
footballing
they
country.
qualify.
Yeah,
We
it's
still
all
have
up
to
in the
see.
air still.
I agree with everything the exportations, but we have to see these these final 3 games and what happens with the U.S. But yeah, no, without a doubt, the U.S. has exported more. But the biggest surprising thing is Canada and the way they've been able to do what they do, even with so much talent that the U.S. has. But we'll see. We'll see what happens this Thursday. It's gonna be exciting. I will send you that photo, Alex, when we get that dub with smiling and
What if it's a
everything.
tie? What happens if it's a tie?
Oh God, you would say that. We don't want a tie, Alex.
But what
We
if
had it. We
though?
had a
But what
tie.
if it's like one of those like
No
Atlanta
one wants a
United
tie. This is
Montreal
a
where it's like 3-3,
this
like
is
game
okay.
winning game tying goal in
You
last
give me
minute?
a 3-3, maybe I'm okay with it. But if you give me a 1-1, definitely not. Definitely not. There needs to be a fireworks. There needs to be a winner because I mean, if both teams tie, they stay in the same spot
Yeah, it
that
doesn't
they're
work for
in.
anybody.
Yeah, but if Panama wins, then that's pressure, right?
Panama
So
plays Canada, so I mean that's kind of a little bit of I guess a little help for the
well,
U.S. or
if Costa
Mexico.
Rica wins, then that brings up more pressure. But yeah, these final games are not going to be easy. But with that said, Alex, I want to thank you for hopping on, my brother. Hopefully, you have an enjoyable rest of your week and enjoy the international break.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, and we are back. We're here talking LAFC here in the second segment of the show. It was a big week for the LAFC, and here to help me talk about LAFC, we got Andy Diosa, El Pasero. How you doing, Andy?
What up, my boy Gio? How's it going, man?
Good, man. Tell me about the jersey, man.
Yeah, I
Always
saw
the jerseys, man. That
Alex,
budget is big.
Alex was bringing
That
the
budget
heat,
is
man.
big.
I saw you bringing the heat with the pink and black Mexico, so I had to give a little Colombia love with the blue and orange 2018 World Cup. Because honestly, I think after this week, I might not be wearing a Colombia jersey for a long time when we failed to qualify for the World Cup. So
I was gonna say, yeah. How's it looking? It's not looking so good, right?
it's not looking good at all, man. We put ourselves in a bad situation, and we need to win out, and we need to hope that we get some help. And I don't think we're gonna do either of the two. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Look, we'll see. I could be in your shoes after this week too, so we'll see what happens there. But look, this is when it comes to World Cup qualifying. It's always very exciting, very emotional, a lot of different emotions. But when there's a big game, obviously like this week that I'm looking forward to. I just want a great time. Obviously, we want to get the dub. But yeah, we'll see what happens because yeah, it's unfortunate. Look, but you guys play in South America. There's always so much top talent there and everything like that. Where can someone get a look? I'm not Colombian, but you have a parcero hat parce. Where if a fellow Colombian is watching this, where can someone cop that?
The hat, it came from Medellin, man. I copped it when I was out there in December. So that's something you got to find over there in the hood. But there's probably some stuff online as well.
Yeah, and parce means well, for people that don't know, is what Colombian, right? Colombian brother.
Yeah, like homie, basically. Like that's our word for like brother, homie. So what we use in Medellin, basically in Colombia in general, but a lot in
Yeah,
Medellin.
so Andy's not walking around wearing profanity on his
Oh no,
boots,
no,
right?
please
Just
don't.
in case. I'm a
We're trying to
parce,
keep this a family program here, man.
just in case anybody was curious or was not Spanish speaking. Just had to make things clear. But yeah, man, how'd you enjoy the weekend, man? What'd you do?
It was cool, man. I was actually at the Galaxy game. What was that, Saturday? So I went down
Mhm.
there. My trips to Carson are few here and there, but it was a good time to be down there. I had some pupusa. Shout out to Avja, amazing. I didn't get to go to the LAFC game because I had LA Marathon festivities for all of my runners and all the run groups I'm in, sharing out my friends and stuff like that. So we had a lot of things going on yesterday. It was a very long day, so I watched LAFC from home and then partied for the rest of the night.
Hey, that's not a bad gig, man. That's not a bad gig. Well, you weren't the only one partying. LAFC was partying as well, and the bank was rocking. I was there. It was crazy. They did go down 1-0, but they ended up coming back, coming from play from behind, and had a big win. 3 goals to 1. It was amazing. Vela got one. Hollingshead had 2 goals. It's always amazing when your defenders can get goals, and not just one but two. They got him, and they got Mamadou Fall, who seemed to be consistent. I think that's a recipe for success. Whenever your defense players can get you goals like that, it has to be an amazing feeling. I know Steve Shono is loving that, and also Mahala, man. God, he is such a beast. And to me, how do you not put him in the starting lineup every single week, right? For what he does, and there's so much competition on this team, and I think it's a good problem to have if you're for LAFC, you're Steve Cherundolo. But yeah, let's talk about this game. Oh, what were your thoughts when you saw the big win 3-1 over Vancouver?
I think the most important thing for me was how LAFC bounced back. And I know we always try to think about last season and how things might have looked and things might have been a little different. But to see LAFC really, obviously that goal is funny because it ends up being Tristan Blackman out of all people that score. And it was, it's one of those plays that it's kind of just the bounce of the ball that happens, and it's not easy. But I think their response was really, really good. And I think that's what Cherundolo said after the game. He was very impressed by the way LAFC responded. And I think those are the little signs of a team that you see, that is growing in a lot of different ways, how they didn't put their heads down. And obviously 3 of the 4 games have been here in LA. So that's to their benefit. We know LAFC at Bank of California Stadium is a very tough team to play against due to the elements, obviously the 32-52. But I think progressively in that game, we saw LAFC pick up a lot of energy. And I think that when you let down an early goal, sometimes it's one of those things that it happens that you bounce back the right way, or sometimes you don't bounce back the right way. And you kind of see the team a little sloppy. And I think they really took control in the ways that they wanted to be able to get that equalizer. And then obviously they go on and score 2 more. But it was a very good performance from LAFC. I think there's still little parts here and there that, they're gonna have to get better. But you see things like set pieces where a team that really, I want to say in its history hasn't really been too threatening on set pieces. You see something like that started to come together where that Hollingshead goal, I mean, Vela delivers it on a platter. He doesn't even have to move. And that's, that's probably a dream for a defender like that. And it was such a clean header. And on top of it, you say, obviously, Mamadou, who's a threat in the air. You have Jesus David Murillo, who's very tall. Like, they have these defensive players that could really contribute when you're talking about those, those curls into the box, corner kicks or whatnot. But then you talk about the free kicks, and we've talked about this before when the season started. You have Kellen Acosta, who has proven it on the U.S. men's national team scale. Obviously, Carlos Vela, we know what he could do in the free kick. So that element coming together at the time where you start seeing, little things here and there, it's a very good sign. So I think this win probably is the one they're going to be the most happy about throughout the first 4, because I think it was well rounded in all different aspects. And like I said earlier, there's going to still be some parts that you could pick apart, but overall, it's a solid win to go into that international break.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Just the way they fought back and the way they were able to, essentially put Vancouver outside this game, because obviously LAFC is the better team on paper. But I do want to go back to the goal, that set piece goal, the first goal that tied the game up for them.
With the pass, you can create something. Second corner kick of the match. Vela gets it airborne. Oh, yes! Ryan Hollingshead, flat-footed, gets his first goal in an LAFC shirt.
Yeah, look, to your point, you got defenders making, scoring that, and he was flat-footed on that, and Vela just put it right on the money, right? And it was an easy assist. And when you're able to take advantage of those opportunities, that always has to be an amazing feeling. Because I did not know anything about Ryan Hollingshead outside him being a solid defender, and I see him score 2 goals. Now, do I expect him to do this every game? No, I don't. But I think he's also going to be an aerial threat. And now it's not just Mamadou Fall that every other team is going to have to focus on. They're going to Ryan Hollingshead, Mamadou Fall, potentially whoever, Murillo, whoever else is there, because the defenders are an actual threat. So everybody, their teams are going to be able to have, their teams are going to have to drop back. And you got 2 players, like you said, Kellen Acosta and Carlos Vela, who could put the ball right on the money. And it's very impressive. Like 4 games in, already the feeling of this LAF team is completely different from last year. What they're doing under Steve Cherundolo. I know it's only a small sample size, but look, if you're this team and you saw this type of performance, I think 4 games in, you got to beat what is it? Correct me if I'm wrong. 3 games, won 3 games and tied 1 game. Mm-hmm. So you got 9-10 points. The number 1 in the Western Conference. I mean, no one really saw that coming. We didn't know. We didn't expect that. But I think that is very solid. What do you think of Carlos Vela in this game? I know he had that goal. What were your thoughts on Carlos Vela?
I thought Carlos Vela looked pretty good. I think the question there at the end is he fully fit, which clearly is a no right now, but he's probably not too far from it from what Steve Cherundolo says. But once again, we talk about, maybe he should be playing the 90 minutes. And I think just for the sake of having a player out there 90 minutes, it's when you're up at that, that stature, like, sure, we want to have Carlos Vela out there the whole game. And that's the the player that fans, want to see. It's whatever, the star. But at the end of the day, like, Cherundolo's making the right moves, like we talked about, and putting his players in those positions. And to go back to last year, Bob Bradley maybe will play Carlos Vela in those 90 minutes, and then maybe something gets tweaked in those last whatever minutes he came off. So obviously he gets that goal. It's big for him. He gets the assist, and I think you're just seeing a way more relaxed Carlos Vela, and I think that's what is key for LAFC, because I think I don't want to say for the first time, but I think you could make an argument that this is probably the most accompanied he's been when it comes to terms of scoring, when it comes to terms of the offense flowing. And then we always look back at 2019 and how good that team was. And I mentioned it to you. It was the midfield that really did it. But the shocking part to me in this one is that we see a different midfield, and the team is still able to kind of keep that identity, keep that shape. And I think it starts from the back with Cherundolo being so keen on the defense. But for Vela, could he play free? And unlike the Galaxy, could he not just be the guy that they need to score? Because, the Galaxy are running into that problem where they need Chicharito to score. And if not, they're kind of looking around. As you see with LAFC, they have options. They have options, many, many options. And there's still some players that you think should score and haven't even scored yet. So if those things start rolling, you're taking a lot of pressure off Carlos Vela. And I mean, let's not discount the fact that he's up there for the Golden Boot race. And it
4 games,
just a hat trick and then that goal. But at the end of the day, those are 4 goals in 4 games. Those numbers don't lie. That efficiency doesn't lie. So I think it's a good sign. And we know the overlying, not problem, but I guess the overlying storyline with Vela is that contract and whether or not he's going to stay or go. So once again, he keeps proving himself in those type of ways. I think that LAFC's decision is going to be easier to make for what they want to do in the future. But I think he looks good so far, man. The most important thing is seeing him on the field and not sidelined and hurt.
Yeah, no, the thing I would say about Carlos Vela, I think, to your point, I think it was the right decision to sub him off, and plus you wanted to get Chicho, into the game, and you already had the victory. No need to play him more and trying to give him up that rest. And you're right, 4 goals in 4 games, averaging a goal a game is not a bad stat to have, and he's up there in the Golden Boot race. And you're right. I feel like this team, like 2019 team, was solid. It was spectacular. But this team is well more balanced in every position, from the goalkeeper, defense, midfield, and up top. All the different weapons. And I mean, this may be too early to tell, but I feel like this may be, in the first 5 years, this could be the best LAFC team we see. And I don't think that's too far-fetched to say because of how balanced they are. Now, I don't think they're going to break the record or whatever they did in 2019 or whatever New England did last year, whenever they did it. That's not what I'm talking about. I think just balance overall. They're just a better team overall. And for first 4 games, I still need to see more, but just the weapons that they have. Look, you have Mahala, who I was speaking about earlier. He broke down the line, who got Carlos Vela that assist and is able to break down defenders, and he's an incredible winger. I think he's only 20 years old, and having such an impressive impact on this team. And I think that's just so spectacular. And we have to see that goal, Carlos Vela's goal, and Mahala's assist.
Mahala, pinball in the machine, the cross, near post, second bite. Oh, Carlitos! 38th minute. LAFC with all hands on the pump. They have turned this game on its head. 2-1 answered. 2-1. 4th of the season.
Vela hitting the Superman stance there at the end. I thought that was pretty cool. You don't ever see him showboat like that, but I think that was really cool. But to my point on that, Mahala created the opportunity, and Vela's going to do what Vela's going to do. He's going to put that away. And I think if you start to have a player like Mahala consistently do that, it's going to be really hard to not have Mahala in that starting lineup. I think for me, 4 games in, Mahala's a starter. Now the next question is, who do you leave off? Either Chicho or Brian Rodriguez, right? Because you're not taking out Vela, and I think that's a tough decision that Steve Cherundolo gets paid for. Whether it's Brian Rodriguez or Chicho, and obviously Chicho, for whatever reason, as not. I know you talked about last time, maybe he's not in shape or whatever, or he still has a nursing injury. But whatever the case, if it's Chicho, I don't think you're going to be upset when Mahala is starting there and creating those opportunities. it would be ideal if you could have all these guys to get healthy, right? Because then again, you think it'd get even scarier with having 100% Chicho, Mahala, Brian Rodriguez, and I think there is a lineup that you could put out that essentially you could put all four of these guys in the same lineup. You may have to, get rid of a midfielder in the midfield, but yeah, I think it's not too far fetched that Mahala is definitely going to be the starter for these next couple of weeks. I would say, next couple of weeks over Chicho or potentially Brian Rodriguez.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think I've said it before as well. You have a player that's 20 years old, and he's so hungry, and it's hard to really, I don't want to say discredit, but it's just hard for you to take somebody out of the lineup when he's proven to be a factor. It's one thing if he's just in there and running around and has energy. That's one thing, but he's actually contributing. That play he took on those defenders was amazing, and
He made it happen out of nothing.
Right, he made it happen out of nothing in tight spaces, and those are type of plays that you see from veteran players who kind of have a little bit of the history in the league, who know and are bold enough to kind of try to make those movements. And he's like, yo, like I'm out there just trying to prove myself, and he's doing it game after game. I know for some LAFC fans, it's probably surprising to see Chicho Arango on the bench, considering how in love everybody was last year when he got here and the records that he broke, and rightfully so. I mean, it was an incredible feat that he accomplished to come in and kind of take the league on notice. But once again, Cherundolo has said to us he's going to play the guys that he believes that need to be in there, and you can't really fault or can't really criticize when he puts these starting 11s out. Yeah. And if the points are coming in, if the results are coming in, this is the best start they've had since that 2019 season. And you mentioned this could be a team that's similar in talent or even better, but it just goes to show you, like you said, it's a new coach. People did not know what to expect. And I think if you say 10 points out of the first 4 games would have been a very high expectation for people who are optimistic on how the season would have started for LAFC. And I think that Mahala has been a key part of that. And we talked about last week how that was really a Bob Bradley guy, but Cherundolo is clearly seeing some stock in him. I think a lot of people are. Apparently, I believe Max was saying on the broadcast that there's probably already some attention, for eyes on him to keep an eye on him. And it's like a player at 20 years old who is right now playing on the best team in the league, standings wise, whatever the case, whatever you want to quantify it as. It's great because the window is his, the same way that Mamadou Fall took advantage of it last year when he was the young player that people were really trying to tout and big up. And Mahala brings that energy that, like I said to you, I don't see any other LAFC player bringing that. And you need that. You need that when you're on the road. Obviously, he scores in Fort Lauderdale. You need that when you're at home because you see how that crowd gets. So he's been amazing. And you know me, I'm always going to campaign for Chicho to be on the field and help, big up my boy. But Mahala has deserved everything that he's getting. And I 100% agree. You can't take him out of this lineup. I will say, though, I said this to you, I think, before the season started. I would love to see, like you said, try to get them all on the same field and see Vela play a little bit more of a midfield role, like an attacking midfield role.
We could play the 10.
Think that would be fun. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and no. To your point, and this is the formation I think LAC could play with: Chicho, Brian Rodriguez, Mahala, and Carlos Vela. This is the formation. 4 in the back. You got 2. I would say Kellen Acosta and Elias Sanchez are the 2. Then you have the left wing, Brian Rodriguez at the number 10. Obviously Vela. The right, Mahala, and then number 1 would be Chicho. This is ideally could be the lineup. We're not going to hear, but that's up to Cherundolo. But that is ideally if you want to see all of them. But look, Cherundolo, we also got to give him his props. He's done a great job in first 4 games. There was a lot of Christian. There's a lot of unknown, especially from us. We didn't know what to expect, right? But I was on the wait and see approach, and it's so far 4 games in. You have to applaud what Steve Cherundolo has done in these first 4 games. The guys believe in him. They believe into the system he's bringing him on. He's able to bench or start Mahala. I don't know if it started over Chicho or whatever the case it is, or whatever it is. But that just goes to show that, look, no matter what, and Cherundolo has said it, the best guys are going to play. And that just raises the level of competition and expectation. Because I know this. I'm pretty sure Chicho's fighting hard in that practice field to try to get on, try to start, because he was the guy last season when Vela was injured, and I do feel like Chicho will once again get his role back in the starting lineup, but he has to fight for it, and I'm okay with that. I don't think there's no problem, because I think Cherundolo understands that, look, this team can go really, really far if everybody's there, understands their role, is able to fight for the position. and respects one another. And I really don't have no problem with that. Look, it's 4 games in, and yeah, there were some easy teams, but you could also be like, hey, this team has 3 points in 4 games. You know what I'm saying? So 10 points. Yeah, we're not gonna. I think you got to give LAFC and Toronto their props, but at the same time, you also got to understand that even though they played, some people may say easier teams or this and that. You could play an easy team and not get a good result. See what happened to the Galaxy. They didn't get a result at home. There's a lot of questions being asked, but I think so far, 4 games in, I'm very impressed with this team and what's to come after this international break. And we also got to mention they still got a third DP spot available, which is crazy. You forget about how they have a third DP spot with the way they're rolling, huh?
Yeah, to the JT out LAFC mob, Twitter mob, you gotta just take the L on this one and stay quiet until the offseason because it's just
Yeah, I
incredible
don't think
to
you see
me.
those nowadays.
No, it's incredible to me that like a player like Ryan Hollingshead, who you said like it's just been a good defender in MLS, he comes in and is already having an impact. They got a player like Ilya Sanchez, and we know how important it is to get MLS experience on the roster, and that's obviously something that they wanted to do. But they didn't just get MLS experience; they got like top tier guys to come in.
Yep.
And I'll keep saying it: the way that these players have bought in, the new players, when it comes to Maxime, when it comes to Ilya and Acosta, and it's amazing how they quickly adapted, and you could tell that all has to start with the coaching, obviously with the people that are in the locker room already, and they're all coming together. And like you said, it's early. I want to see this team lose a game. I want to see them go through some adversity to see how that bounces back. But to me, it's more so like we said, the team is so talented and so in all well-rounded in all ways that there's so many different looks, and I want to see how Trundle does in a few different games where he could change up some personnel and give different looks, because it's what he has at his exposure, and it's what's going to help that team really try to make a run and progress. But you got to give it up for him. You can't really say anything bad. I think I've said it to you as well. I think offline or whatever. Like I just like the way that he is, his persona, his demeanor, the way he speaks to the media. Like he's very honest. He's very open. And I think I took a takeaway from like the first game of the season where he was like, this is not about me. Like he doesn't really like the credit to be on him, which is, I think, what the players see. And the players are like, yo, this is not coach. And Bob Bradley's Bob Bradley. And it's a guy of stature that he's always going to be a story because it's Bob Bradley. But I think for a team that has all these expectations right now, and like we said, coming into the season with so many unknowns, I don't want to say they're like calm, but I feel like the approach that they're taking is the right one, because it doesn't seem like they're flustered any which way. Now, the big test will be what happens down in Carson, because we know LAFC has never won a game in that stadium. And if you are able to make a bang in that game against the Galaxy, which we know those games are always wild, we never know what's going to happen, then I think that's really like the first sign. Not saying that these 4 games haven't been, but I think that's going to be like the first sign of like, yo, all right, like let's keep an eye on this, because every team knows that LAFC is going to be tough to play against because of the talent. But you need to, like I said earlier, you need to see them tough moments, those adverse moments where they get down, like the Vancouver game, or where they pick up an injury or they pick up a yellow card to certain players. So it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. But 100%, once again, in agreement that he's been great. He's checked off a lot of boxes. The team has checked off a lot of boxes. And, I think people are starting to feel like, yo, this team is bringing back the 2019 feeling, which is obviously a feeling that LAFC fans would love to see.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think also like the Trafico game, April 9th. You look if they get a big win, I think people are really going to look at Steve Sharano, the job he's done. Obviously, JT, credit goes to him for bringing those players, but I think also Steve Sharano, even though he coached in Europe, he has a good understanding of the MLS and how the league is run. He was not an international coach that didn't know and understand MLS, and I think that was a benefit. That was a benefit to LAFC and to him, because he understands how the league runs. A TAM, GAM, all this other BS, DP. It's like once you understand that BS, and you're like, oh, okay, now I know how to make the movements. But you got to go through the there's a learning curve. We did, I know you did, and we're still going through. And we're like, what the hell is you know what I'm saying? But like, if you have a good understanding of MLS, then you're able to succeed. Now, that's just one thing. But he actually has shown that he can coach. He's actually shown that they're not getting these wins by luck. They're getting the wins because he's putting out the lineup. He's putting the right players. He's taking off Vela when he doesn't need to play Vela anymore because I already got the dub, and give Chicho the minutes, and you're starting to see that. But yeah, I'm with you. I want to see more of that adversity when he plays the Galaxy down in Carson, when he plays the Seattle Sounders. I think they play Nashville. Those tougher teams, because those are the teams that are really going to test you when it comes to playoff times. And I think if you're able to get battle tested throughout the season, then this team can definitely make a deep run. But look, if you're an LFC fan, I think you got to be very, very excited, very happy of what you're seeing so far. And there's still so much room for growth, so much room for understanding. And I think teams like potentially the Galaxy, when you play them, and teams like the Sounders, you're gonna have to switch up the formation. I don't think you can. There's no way you're going 4-3-3 consistent with the Seattle Sounders after what Brian Schmetzer has done to LAFC the last 4 or 5 years or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a game you're going to have to switch up somewhat of your formation and in-game tactics and stuff, because Brian Schmetzer, to me, he's the smartest coach in the league. He understands what he needs to do. But yeah, the Galaxy game, Sounders, again, when they play the Timbers and any other team in the top that's East, I'm looking forward to that game because, this team has all the qualities of a successful team if they continue to do the things that they're doing.
Most definitely. And I think the other part to look at too is like, it's 4 games, but the way that the schedule starts getting broken down, like they have 4 games in April, and their opponents are Orlando, the Galaxy, Sporting Kansas City, who is not playing well right now, and FC Cincinnati. So you're talking about 4 very winnable games. No disrespect to any of those teams. And we could be talking about 10 more points, 12 more points, whatever in that range that puts them into that May stretch of the season, which is very packed and competitive. But like you said, this is where they need to show against opponents, against teams that, hey, man, we have these different ways of giving you looks, because, like you said, the Sounders have been a headache for LAFC. Portland, if it wasn't for that crazy goal from Chara, we could be having a whole conversation about, perfect 12 points and things like that. But at the end of the day, I said it earlier, and I'll repeat it. I think because he's so focused defensively on what he wants to do, I think that's where it all begins. Yep. Because we know LAFC that last year, that defensively they were all over the place. And we're saying this once again without Eddie Segura being back, assuming that he gets back and gets healthy soon and gets back in that starting lineup. You have so many players back there who you could plug in place, but I think that they're understanding exactly how to stay compact, which is something that he's preached since he got here, of remaining compact. And that moves forward because of defensively, obviously you have a guy like Maxime, who's very solid in net, that I think finally has let LAFC fans breathe a sigh of relief when it comes to goalies. And then you have a back line where Cherundolo, he makes his money, or he makes his bread is he loves that defensive effort and all that. And then you have somebody like Ilya Sanchez, who we talked about, who this maybe wasn't his best game, and he had some of these moments, but once again, you take those little pieces and you work on them. But they've been able to pass these tests, and they haven't been conceding bad goals. Defensively, they've been solid. The midfield is working. You want to see a little more from certain players like Brian Rodriguez and things like that. But at the end of the day, like, those things happen. Those things come along with time. And I think if you painted the ideal scenario for LAFC fans in this first month of the season, it would be this, because I think everybody that you've seen on the field has contributed in some sort of way, right? You can't really pinpoint many players that you're like, yo, this person has not done much. Maybe a few names you'll throw around here and there, but I feel like that process that he's talking about, that he needs everybody to be a factor and contribute to this roster, I think you're seeing that. And I think that you're going to continue seeing that, whether it's a few minutes here or starting a different game. Like, you're going to see that these players really all need to be part of the process, which is essentially why Kim Moo-hwan's like, yo, like, I need to prove myself and try to get on this World Cup roster. So this is not for me, but I think that the players that are here and the moments that they're in, I think it's ideal for them, for the coaching staff, and for the team as a whole. So I think that's why it's working out so well.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then Carlos makes a great point about, Kevin Acosta playing a right back. I feel like that's part of the reason that maybe Elias Sanchez did not play the as good as a game, because he's used to having Acosta. Yeah. And I think that could be a factor. by no means I'm trying to give him an excuse, but when you're so used to a player and he's not there, and you're accustomed to the way he moves and the way the ball is being touched and how he controls the game in the midfield, I feel that was somewhat of a factor. Obviously, it costs playing a right back. It's not ideal. It's not what you want to see potentially moving forward, maybe out of emergency. But yeah, I feel like they definitely need to get another right back because we don't know how long Escobar is going to be out. I think even Ryan Hollingshead, he could play on that side, but he was playing the left side. So with this international break, I think it's going to help LAFC, and whether they do sign someone else, which I would expect, they have an international slot and some money to play with now that Kim Muman is not there. The reports were for $1 million, so they got about what 400,000 in an international spot. But I don't think you need to go international at right back. You can just go grab someone from that's available in the league. If there's available players at right back, I don't know who's available, or make a trade for right back. So I think the opportunities are there, but I'm not looking at this team being like, oh yeah, the weakest point is right back or anything like that. I don't really see necessarily. I think this team can always improve, right? But I'm not feeling like, whoa, their Achilles heels is this. Like for the longest time, it was a goalkeeper and set pieces. You're not really seeing that from this LAFC team under Steve Cherundolo. And I know Katie made a point about we look bad for Portland. They did, but I think if this was the same team last year, they would not have gotten that point. They would have lost that game. And one thing I noticed that was different from Steve Cherundolo and Bob Bradley, I never saw Bob Bradley throw out the whole kitchen and sub a defender for a forward. I think that game he had 4 forwards and he threw the whole kitchen to try to get a point. And that showed me that look, he it doesn't matter. He's willing to do anything to get a win. I think was the third game of the year. They got a point. Obviously, it was the last minute, but a team so far when I'm seeing these first 4 games, this is a team that is competing and giving it all until the last minute of the game. Andy, before I let you go, we got to talk about CONCACAF, the standings. What are your thoughts, Mexico US this week? What are your thoughts on that game? Expectations, because it's a big game for all teams involved.
Mexico US is gonna be wild. Obviously, where it's being played, it adds to the fun. The games at Azteca. Gio will be out there running around shirtless like a maniac. I heard
shirtless. I don't know about shirtless. I'm trying to watch the whole game.
No, but it's gonna be good. Canada, that's their spot is number 1. Like they got that. They deserve it. I think USA has to be a little concerned because of the amount of injuries that they have coming into this camp. And we just saw Aronson get, now is not part of that roster. There's so many players that are going to have to plug in place. But at the end of the day, I think one thing that Berhalter has done really well in these fixtures is know how to manage these 3 games in terms of rotation, in terms of what personnel to use. Mexico, I mean, if there's a game that they want to make a statement, it's obviously this one. And it's gonna be a fight. I could 100%. I know you just said this earlier to Alex. I could see this ending in a draw for sure. But I think for both teams, that's not the worst because
no, really, it's not. No,
they're looking for 4 points and they're basically in. So I think both these teams, long story short, they end up both qualifying without a problem. But I think the fact that this game is the first one makes it so tough because let's put it in perspective, right? If USA loses, now the pressure is on for them to go win that game in Orlando, and then they have to play Costa Rica, I believe, is that third game where they always have problems with them. And then
Costa Rica,
exactly, on the road, and then vice versa to Mexico. If they lose this game, then there's been all this conversation around Tata and around this team. But if they lose this game, now they're facing pressure for those last 2 games, and they're looking at a situation that maybe they qualify for the World Cup, but they're not going into this cycle as confident. So it's a huge game. I'm excited for it. Enjoy it out there, man. It's going to be a dope time. I have plans. I'm going to be up in San Francisco. I have plans of watching it with the American Outlaws San Francisco chapter out there at a bar. So that'll be cool. And yeah, I think it's fun. World Cup qualifying is always a good time. I hope they both qualify because I think USA and Mexico being in the World Cup is going to be amazing. And Canada, props to them, man. They've been super dope, and they deserve for sure to have that notoriety. And I'd be scared if I had to land in a group with Canada in November for sure.
Yeah, no, I'll send you a photo too. I told Alex I'll send him a selfie when I was when they got the dub down at Azteca. Man, I said this earlier, but Azteca it is crazy. I don't know if they're gonna open at full capacity. I heard there's maybe 40,000. I don't know. It's very tough to get tickets, But yeah, I'll definitely be there, and it's an exciting experience to be there because only happens. Well, World Cup qualifying only happens every 4 years.
Oh, and
But
this one's unique. This is the last one. I'm the
this
next
is
cycle. They're the
yeah.
host, so you're not
Yeah,
gonna
they're the
have.
host. Yeah, they're automatically in. So obviously, I want them to win. But yeah, whichever way it goes, it could shift, right? If they get a tie, I think both teams will move on because Mexico only has this is quote unquote the toughest opponent because they got U.S., then they got Honduras and El Salvador, but don't I've seen Mexico lose to the and you don't want to be thinking that way. You
Listen,
want you want you want
I
to be
don't think.
you want to win all these games because you don't want to lose this game and then try to go to Honduras and come back for El Salvador or whatever the case it is because you need to get these points. You need to get a positive result and you expect to get a win. Especially not just that, also the U.S. has smashed Mexico the last what 3 games in a row, three big games in a row. So it's like if they get a fourth one, like this is a coach, this is whichever coach. Let's say it's not a tie. Whoever wins or loses, the coach is gonna be tied. I think you've mentioned this before. The coach will be fired on Twitter and social media for like the millionth time.
Oh,
Because
it's
people
gonna
ain't
be
happy with Greg Berhalter. People ain't happy with Tata Martino. And fans are always gonna be vocal. But yeah, the losing coach is gonna be fired again on social media. So we'll see what happens with that.
it's gonna be a hell of an end on Twitter that night. But yeah, like you said, I think that the U.S. has the proof from 2018 that you can't go into any of these games feeling confident that you're gonna qualify, especially a game on the road, being at your last one. That you know that if you're going into that game needing points, that's a tough situation.
Yeah.
And I know
Yeah.
there's been conversation about who do you start in Mexico, and I'm like, listen, man, it's U.S. and Mexico. You put the best players on the field and you make a spectacle out of it because if there's a game to make a statement, like you said, for either coach, for either side, this is the one. The stage is set. The eyes will be on it. I think it's probably the most anticipated qualifier of this break, if we're being honest, around the world
Yeah.
because of the magnitude of it. And I know you want Mexico to win. Obviously, I want the U.S. win, but I'm just hoping for a good game and to see your selfie with your boy Julian because I know you guys are home.
We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully he's able to play. I feel like he should be the starter, but look, I don't make the decisions, but we'll see. But Andy, my man, I appreciate you for being on, man. Enjoy your time in San Francisco, and for everybody that joined us in the chat, I appreciate you guys. Enjoy the international break. Enjoy the U.S. versus Mexico this week, and we'll catch you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Peace.